from the government test events, which were staged in Liverpool. Do you remember these? There was a business conference, 2 club nights, and a music festival in Sefton about a fortnight or so ago. A total of 13,258 people attended the 4 events. Ticket holders took a PCR test on the day of the event and a second one 5 days later. And that process identified 4 people as possibly having the virus at an event, 7 people with it 4 to 7 days after the events. 2 of the positive tests were at the music festival, 9 were at the nightclub events, none at the business conference. Let's speak to Dr. Bharat Pankani about this, senior clinical lecturer at the University of Exeter Medical School and former public health consultant in communicable disease control. And these numbers are encouraging, aren't they, I would have thought, for somebody like you, Doctor, not just on the tests and the low level of positive tests, but also on the high level of participation, people actually bothering to do the second PCR test.
Whilst this looks good and promising, what I must emphasize is we are playing this out against a background of low positivity. What that means is a background of few infected infectious cases. This would dramatically change if there was a higher level of background infected infectious case numbers.
So what you're saying is because the R rate, if you like, was broadly low, it was always going to be low from these events. Is that the extrapolation?
Yes, although I don't like to use the R naught number in that respect, but the way it has been used in the United Kingdom, i.e. there is low case numbers, that is low level of community infection. So to put it in layman's terms, if the virus isn't around, then it is no surprise that you never got infected by it. So it's a bit like not getting infected by the influenza virus, which doesn't really start circulating until about September, October time in the UK. So in June, July, unlikely to get seasonal influenza. It's that sort of situation. So if a virus was in circulation and then you had these interactions with people, it could be a different picture. Although I do appreciate that the lateral flow device testing does pick up, to an extent, people who are obviously infected and then removed from circulation. But the lateral flow device is not very sensitive. It only picks up about 60 or so percentage of overtly infected people.
So what can we extrapolate from this safely about future events? Because you'll know that people are desperate to return to life as they knew it beforehand, whether that's a sporting event or a gig or a business conference.
So there are some good learning points here, which is a prior test removes a few people and a test after enables us to do test and trace. A good record keeping system of who was where, when, and all the people's contact numbers, telephone numbers, etc. If you need to get into operation mode of contact tracing after the event, then you are pre-prepared. So all of those are good learning examples of we can do it. And then if we find that a problem arose, we can go back and trace people who have been exposed. All those are good things. The one thing to be aware of is it only works, and it works well, when the experiment was done because the background case numbers were low.
Sure, I understand. Thank you for putting some context in that for us, Dr. Bharat Pankani, a senior clinical lecturer at the University.
Thank you, Dr. Bharat.